This was another case of there is 1,000%. Everything is ringing. It's like a very private community. Where's the part where it tells me all the books she's written? But I feel like she made a switch in her, or that was Ruth Ware? And on that shame, but I made up for. Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse. Today I'm going to talk about pre-orders of 2022. So I have alluded to this in multiple past videos and I promised I would make a video about everything I plan to pre-order this year, and we're finally doing it. So yeah, it's March and yes, I have a stack of some of the pre-orders I made that have already come in. But it's fine. There's so many more books coming out this year that I'm so excited for. And typically I am not one to do like a ton of pre-orders, but I don't know what it is that this year I've got like a pre-order bug. So part of it is I thoroughly understand from an author's perspective how much pre-orders help them, help their sales, help them as authors. I want to do what I can to support them. There are some wonderful indie bookstores, Murder by the Book, that is doing pre-order campaigns for personalized autograph books or just autograph books. And there are other indie bookstores that are doing the same thing. And then there are some books that honestly, I just don't, to quote Paula Cole, I don't want to wait until the book comes out. So I've done some pre-orders locally. I've done some indie ones. I've done some from Book Depository. And then I have a whole bunch more that I just haven't clicked it yet in my cart because I am thinking through a few things, which I will explain as we get into it. But without any further ado, because we're already long overdue on this video, my 2022 pre-orders so far. Now, I didn't pre-order anything that came out in January, partially because I was trying to like ramp myself up for like a no spend, and I was going to come into this year with all sorts of self-control. No. And it's fine. I've made up for it since then. So I do have a few books from February that I pre-ordered. And obviously if you've been around the block, you have seen these already, but it's okay. We're going to talk about them because that's why we're here. So the first one I have is Finley, Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead by Elle Cosimano. This is the second in the Finley, Donovan is Killing It series. And I had the arc of this last year from NetGalley, so I already read it, loved it, wanted to have it as part of my collection anyway. And then when I saw Murder by the Book was doing a personalized pre-order campaign, I jumped all over it. So I do have my personalized pre-order from Elle Cosimano, Murder by the Book. I'm so excited about it. Like I said, I really enjoyed this book. I love this series. Always loving Murder by the Book. And I am going to reread it for sure. So I want to say I read this last summer when it first came out, or when I first got the arc of it. And like I said, really enjoyed it. So I have this. I'm very excited about it. And when I was ordering this and I was just, scrolling their site to see what else might be on the list, I came across a debut novel called The Night She Went Missing by Kristen Bird. And this came out on February 8th. So Finley came out on February 1st. So I figured, let me just buy another book while I'm there. So she also did an in-store personalized copy event. Not that I was in store because they're in Texas, but I ordered it, obviously. Oh my gosh, I can't even speak. So this book is multiple points of view. We have three moms. This takes place in Galveston, Texas. And our main character mom, I would say Catherine, is the mother of a senior named Emily, who is the girl who goes missing. So when the book opens in prologue, we get Emily's point of view, and it is when she is found. And Emily says, like, everyone thinks I'm dead, but they just found me. And then we go backwards in time, up into the night she went missing, and then sort of after she goes missing, trying to figure out what happened. So we get the point of view of Catherine, we get a little bit of Emily, not as much even screen time, which is totally fine. And then we get two other moms. So we get Morgan, who is the mother of a football player named Alex, who was the last person seen with Emily before she went missing. And then another mom named Leslie, who is very steeped in this community. There's a prep school. It's a very wealthy community. There's a lot of history to it. And her daughter is also part of Emily's friend group. So she has connections to it. And she also has past connections to Catherine's husband, who is from this town, which is why they came to live here. So lots of different layers and secrets and such. debut novel. I was totally hooked by it. I really enjoyed it. I've obviously already read this one as well, and I thought it was great. So I would highly recommend it, and I'm very excited to see what Kristen Bird does next. Another February release, which actually came out in February in the US, but came out at the beginning of March in the UK. And I ordered the UK copy of it from Book Depository because I liked the cover better. And it's The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. So I haven't shown you guys this one yet on my channel, but I love Lucy Foley. I loved The Hunting Party. I was a little less in love with the guest list, but partially I kind of read them like almost back to back, and I think the characters in The Hunting Party were so much darker and more messed up, which is why I obviously loved them, because it's me. But I am excited for new Lucy Foley. So in this one we have Jess, and she is going to stay with, I want to say, her half-brother Ben at his place in Paris. And when she gets there, Ben is missing. But like his wallet is there and like all his personal things are there. So it's not like he went out to the store, went on a trip or something totally mysterious. So Jess is trying to find out what happened. So this was sort of compared as to like Only Murders in the Building kind of a vibe. So you've got like all the strange neighbors and can't trust anyone and everyone's a suspect. And I love anything having to do with Paris. And then this also is like, it's the apartment building, but you're also outside of the building, so it's not like a fully isolated thriller. So I love Lucy Foley. I think she's great. I'm a huge fan of hers. I can't wait to read this. And just for added, why did I buy this one? You've got this in the naked cover and this on the naked cover. The only thing missing is painted edges, but I'm not going to squawk too much. So anyway, I got this from Book Depository because I needed to have it, and I can't wait to read it. And on that same Book Depository shopping trip, I also picked up 9 Lives by Peter Swanson. So this came out in the UK on March 3rd. It'll be out in the US, I think, on like the 15th, I want to say it is. And same thing, I loved this cover so much more. No shade to the US cover, but I really love this one. And I also just didn't want to wait to read it. So I am almost done. I have like just shy of 50 pages left in this book, so I'm going to be finishing this today. And this is a very and then there were none type of a feel to it. So there are 9 names on a list. These 9 people get this letter in the mail with just their names on it and the names of these 8 other strangers. And it says, if you're on the list, you're marked for death. So people whose names are on the list start to die, and I just hit myself in the face with a book.
People whose names are on the list start to die.
They're trying to find out who's behind it, why they're killing them, and obviously trying to stop it. I love it. I love it so much. I love Peter Swanson, and I am 1000% hooked into this book as much as I was hooked into The Kind Worth Killing, and I love it. So stay tuned. I will be giving a full review at the end of March. Another March book I picked up is Gallant by V.E. Schwab. So I did a pre-order on this one as well. And this is the US edition. I did hem and haw between US and UK, and I wound up going US, and I'm totally fine with it. So this is just like beautiful to begin with. I haven't read it yet. It is like just a physically beautiful book. Sorry, flappy. And it has illustrations in it, which are actually a core part of the book. So I'm told. I watched an interview with V.E. Schwab, obviously. So there's like some different color pages that are happening in here. And she talked about how she spoke with her publishers and said how important it was that she have these illustrations in the book because they are critical to the storyline. So again, like I said, I haven't read it yet, but it is definitely high on my non-TBR TBR because I'm really interested in it. This is a YA book. It is fantasy. And in this, we have a woman named Olivia. I should say a girl named Olivia because it is YA. And her mother's journal is the only thing that she has of her mother's. And her mother had warned her to stay away from Gallant, which Olivia doesn't know what that means. But then in present day, she winds up getting a letter beckoning Olivia home to Gallant, which is the one place Mom said not to go. So of course she goes. And she doesn't know anything about it. She doesn't know anything about her family. And it says no one will tell her what haunts her cousin's dreams, what happened to her mother, or what lies on the other side of the wall. It's 2 worlds here. Did the shadows call Olivia home? What will they ask of her in return? So it says everything casts a shadow, even the world we live in. And I've just heard some great things about this book. I loved Vicious. I loved Addie LaRue. I love V.E. Schwab as a writer. I love her with my writer hat on, with my writer hat off, and I'm just excited for it. It's a little bit out of my norm for sure, but I just can't deny how beautiful her writing is, and I just wanted to have it and read it. The rest of the books I have not been released yet, but first up is, again, Rachel by Marian Keyes. So this is the second book in a series, 20-something years later, and it was never meant to be a sequel. I shouldn't even say a series. So the first book is Rachel's Holiday, which came out in 1998, and that is a story about Rachel Walsh. So Marian Keyes has written multiple stories about the sisters in the Walsh family, but she has never done a continuation of any of their stories beyond them being bit characters in other books. But this is a direct sequel to Rachel's Holiday, and it's called, again, Rachel. So in Rachel's Holiday, Rachel is living in New York City. She's 27 years old. She has a bit of a recreational drug problem. She has a bit of an addiction problem, which includes men. And she winds up in the emergency room after what she calls overindulging, and returns to Dublin where her family is and goes into sort of a Betty Ford clinic type of a place with Rachel, which Rachel treats very much as like a celebrity-infused spa resort kind of a holiday that she's going on, and isn't really taking it seriously. And as you can imagine, over the course of her being there, she is forced to confront her issues and to take her addiction seriously, but it is not without some humor and some levity. Marian Keyes just writes beautiful stories. She herself struggles with addiction. There is a lot of personal experience in it. There's a lot of sensitivity around it, but again, there is some good humor going on in the book as well, but it's family drama, it's personal issues, it's confronting what is wrong, what is going on, confronting yourself, sort of coming to terms with yourself and having an honest look at yourself, and then after failure, picking yourself up again and starting over. So I just loved this book. I haven't read it in forever, so I am going to reread Rachel's Holiday, and then we'll dive into, again, Rachel, but I'm so excited to revisit these characters. I haven't read one of Marian Keyes' newer books in quite a while, and I haven't connected with her characters in the same way as I had with her earlier books. So I'm really excited to dive into this one. And this one comes out early April. I'll leave all the exact dates down below for when things are coming out, which as of the time of my filming, they should all be true. I'm sorry we keep changing angles. I just had to change the battery. So back at it again. This is such nonsense, you guys. So no surprise here to anyone. Next up is Riley Sager's book, The House Across the Lake, which comes out on June 21st. So my only question, I haven't pre-ordered yet because Murder by the Book is doing their pre-order campaign of the personalized signed copies, which I have done the past 2 years and love. But on the flip side, I don't want to wait the handful of days it's going to take for it to ship from Houston to New York. So I'm like, do I just pre-order from somewhere else where I know it can be here immediately? I don't know what to do. I don't have an ARC of this one, and I am thirsty beyond all belief to get it, so we'll see. But it doesn't even matter because I'm buying it either way. So it's just a matter of where I purchase it from is the only question on this book. So this one definitely has a Rear Window kind of vibe to it, and it says, be careful what you watch for. So this one is about a woman named Casey Fletcher, which I wonder if that's like a Murder, She Wrote nod. I hope it is. She is a recently widowed actress trying to escape a streak of bad news and has retreated to the peace and quiet of her family's lake house in Vermont. Armed with a pair of binoculars and many bottles of bourbon, she passes time watching Tom and Catherine Royce, the glamorous couple in the house across the lake. They make for good viewing. A tech innovator, Tom, is powerful, and a former model, Catherine, is gorgeous. And it says, one day on the lake, Casey saves Catherine from drowning, and the two strike up a budding friendship. But the more they get to know each other and the longer Casey watches, it becomes clear that Catherine and Tom's marriage isn't as perfect as it appears. Then Catherine vanishes. Casey suspects Tom of foul play. What she doesn't realize is that there's more to the story than meets the eye, and the shocking secrets can lurk behind the most placid of surfaces. So this definitely has Woman in the Window vibes to it, which I know he's going to subvert that expectation. And similarly with Rear Window, if you guys have seen it or have seen any Rear Window-esque type of shows, thinking about that Freddie Prinze Jr. movie from 1,000 years ago with all the models who lived in the fancy apartment. And then there was a Castle episode like this as well. But I have no doubt he's going to subvert our expectations and just absolutely kill it because I love him. So stay tuned. As soon as I read it, you guys will be the first to know. We're also getting a new Ruth Ware book this year called The It Girl. And this one is about April Clark Cliveden, was the first person Hannah Jones met at Oxford. Vivacious, bright, occasionally vicious, and the ultimate it girl, she quickly pulled Hannah into her dazzling orbit. Together they developed a group of devoted and inseparable friends during their first term. By the end of the second, April was dead. So this is also giving me In My Dreams I Held a Knife vibes kind of a thing. You guys know I love a past and present. It's giving me Hunty Party vibes. I love that circle of friends from college, from university, who something happens then, and then we get back together now, perhaps. So in this one, it's a decade later. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on with everyone. Everyone's got something to hide. I love Ruth Ware. So she doesn't always completely crush it for me, like The Woman in the Window, or not The Woman in the Window, The Woman in Cabin 10. But I loved In a Dark, Dark Wood. I really enjoyed One by One. Very popcorny thriller, very just get involved with her books and love her characters. I really enjoyed The Turn of the Key. I really enjoyed The Death of Mrs. Westaway. I am always here for anything she does. She did not put out a book last year, so I am even more kind of frothy about this one. And I'm excited for it. It also has a fun cover to it. Not gonna lie, I'm 1000% keeping my eye out for UK covers versus US covers on some of these books, which also might influence my decision, but we'll see. But I'm excited for more Ruth Ware. The next book I have is The Bay by Ali Reynolds. So this comes out in the UK in June as The Bay, and it comes out as The Swell in the US in July. Same book, different title, and not gonna lie, I'm not gonna wait a month for it. So I ordered the UK version already. So she wrote Shiver, which you guys know I loved. 2 pieces. I can't believe I waited as long as I did to read this book, but I absolutely fell in love with her writing and her characters. I gobbled it up completely. So I totally just fell in love with Shiver. I loved everything she did in this book, and I can't wait to see what happens in The Bay. Okay, where were we? Sorry, there's so much going on outside the window. It was so loud. I actually took a bit of a timeout. So anyway, The Bay by Ali Reynolds. So in this one, it says, the waves won't wash away what they did. So this one takes place in Australia, and we have a group of friends. So we have a girl named Kenna, and she arrives in Sydney to surprise her best friend and finds out that her best friend's about to marry this guy that she's only just met. And they are about to head away on a trip to this remote island known as Sorrow Bay. And actually, I don't know if it's an island. It's a remote surfing spot with waves to die for, cut off from the rest of the world. So Kenna winds up tagging along with her best friend Mickey and her fiance Jack. But when she shows up, it sounds like the people who are already at this remote surf spot are not jazzed that she's there. So it says these people will do anything to keep their paradise a secret. And as Kenna gets drawn into their world, she sees the extremes they're prepared to go to for the next thrill. And everyone seems to be hiding something. What has her best friend gotten involved in, and how can she get her away? One thing is rapidly becoming clear about the Bay. Nobody ever leaves. So I'll be honest, this is sort of like a Riley Sager situation. I don't even need to know what this book is about. I 1000% am going to get it anyway. I already bought this one from Book Depository, but I would read it no matter what. I just, like I said, fell so in love with her writing. I loved her story. I loved her pace. I loved her characters. And this one sounds different in that it doesn't seem like we'll have a past and present timeline. So I like that she's not doing the same thing again. And I'm just super curious to see what she does next. So Shiver was her debut. I'm here for this one. Coming out in August is The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. I am hearing so much buzz about this book, and I am in what's affectionately known as NetGalley purgatory, where I have requested the book and I haven't been accepted, knock wood, but I haven't been denied, knock wood. I'm just sort of here. But I keep seeing so many people raving about this and raving about how completely dark and messed up it is. So I of course have complete FOMO, and I just desperately want to read this one, but I will be pre-ordering it and definitely reading it. So this one, it says it's a pitch black thriller about a woman determined to destroy a powerful cult and avenge the deaths of the women taken in by it, no matter the cost. So while in college in upstate New York, Shay Evans and her best friends met a captivating man who seduced them with a web of lies about the way the world works, bringing them under his thrall. By senior year, Shay and her friend Laurel were the only ones who managed to escape. 8 years later, Shay's built a new life in a Tony, Texas suburb. But when she hears the horrifying news of Laurel's death, delivered of all ways by her favorite true crime podcast crusader, true crime podcast, She begins to suspect that the past she thought she buried is still very much alive, and the predators are more dangerous than ever. So Shay works with the podcast host and goes back to the place she vowed never to return to in search of answers. So it says, but in a world built for men to rule it, both inside the cult and outside, is justice even possible? And if so, how far will Shay go to get it? So she becomes completely obsessed. She can no longer separate her desires for justice from her darker desires newly reawakened. She must confront the depths of her own complicity and conditioning. So, like I said, I have seen Dennis from Scare Straight Reads talk about this, Jordy from Jordy's Book Club, and just rave about, like, this definitely is not going to be a for everyone kind of book, I don't think, and it definitely sounds far darker even than In My Dreams was. And, like, In My Dreams was dark to me, but I didn't find it disturbingly dark. I found it maliciously dark, but that's just me. So we'll see, but I cannot wait to read this book. Like, I would kill. I would kind of kill for an arc of it. So here's hoping. Here's hoping. Hi everybody, it's Editing Audrey here to close out this video because when I was editing many days after I filmed, which is why I'm wearing a different outfit, I realized I had like 60 minutes of raw footage in this video, and I did manage to get it down to like 40 something, but still that's entirely too much video for one video. So I'm breaking it up into 2 parts. Part 2 will be coming up in a matter of days. So I just wanted to let you guys know I'm breaking it off here. That's just a handful of the books that I am pre-ordering, and there's so many more to come. So let me know if any of these are on your hot list, and then obviously I missed a bunch because I broke the video up in 2. So let me know if you want anything you think I missed, anything you think I might talk about in part 2, anything you want to let me know, and I will see you in that video. Thank you so much for hanging out today and for sticking with it, and I will see you guys really soon. Bye everybody.